Welcome back, everybody, to week number 9 of stage 3 of the Quake Pro League. My name's Ketchup, joined by ZSX, and our next map could potentially be another competitive one. We have Effortless going up against nosfa. Effortless is certainly in a position where he's trying to avoid relegation situations and place as high as he can, as always. And nosfa, I'm curious to see how close this one's going to be, ZSX. Hard to call.
I think this is going to be the nose hole barred Royal Rumble extravaganza, as neither one really has an off switch. So should be entertaining, if not the most strategical the whole way through. But as you say, like, it definitely means a lot more to Effortless than it is to nosfa, who is relatively safe, even though he isn't particularly high on the leaderboard. But Effortless is, unfortunately for him, more than used to being in this position right now. Somehow always squirms his way through or out of relegation or survives. He is definitely a survivor. So, but either way, some fireworks are going to go off.
Yeah, I mean, I just brought up the global rankings. Effortless currently sitting on 118 points, and nosfa with 177. That's obviously a pretty significant difference, but it does mean that nosfa, this is his opportunity to just climb, as he always does, and remain in his safe position. But Effortless, I mean, between really the fight is between Sib, Effortless, and Zanaku, and Effortless is the only one of them that has been really consistently in Pro League. So there's a lot of catching up to do at this point, and nosfa would be a fantastic opponent to kind of get that success with. We have the picks and bans, which I'll bring up, and then we'll just quickly, there we go. Blood Covenant as the first map, and then Awoken. First time we see Awoken today. Looking forward to that one. And then Molten Fools as our third pick. It's going to be Galena versus Ranger, Strog versus Nyx, and then finally BJ up against Ison.
Yeah, nothing too untraditional coming out there, and it's a pretty standard picks between these two. Molten normally rounds us out anyway, and they're both, again, like to play a little bit fast tempo, so not unusual to see those picks coming out either. Once again, I guess throughout the series today, pretty much, there's been no true discrepancies, and this is another one. So,
yeah, and I'm just looking at the champion picks. Curious to see the Galena on the Blood Covenant. You don't see that champion sort of picked there every day. It certainly has its place, because the reality is this level of play, players have they've already got their trick jumps down. Even if you don't have like sort of built-in mobility, you can still use like cute little nail jumps for reduced damage or whatever it is. So I don't think that's going to be a huge issue for nosfa, but it does let you sort of hold those strong positions with that constant access to health, which I'm curious to see if that kind of has a impactful difference here. Much more traditional pick coming up from Effortless with the Ranger, and then the Strog versus the Nyx, and then the BJ versus the Ison. BJ is always that kind of pick.
Probably the one I'm particularly worried for the Nyx for, similar to how we saw Cypher struggling a little bit earlier when he came up against either it was Galena. It's a similar premise with the bigger stack, but the Strog also has the speed to get on top of the Nyx, and that's always a problem when you're so reliant on your ability. Is that if it's not up and it's on cooldown, then the Strog has that momentum to get on top of you. Your life can become very difficult. So that's the one big area I would say that I think Effortless is picking the Nyx, where he will struggle against nosfa.
And just to really hammer home, I think we have to do it, that we are in week number 9 of stage 3. There's not a lot of this left, and Effortless is battling to stay out of relegation situations. So if he can get himself a good result here, it will only help that. However, if he goes down hard versus nosfa today, it's definitely something to be a little bit worried about. But moments away from finding it. There's the countdown, 10 seconds. Effortless. I do think that strongly nosfa has a better chance of winning this, but I think it could totally be a 2-1, is my prediction.
I agree with that.
All right, here we go. I'm going to check out Effortless POV first. Already got himself nice up to max armor and then some, thanks to the heavy being picked up. And then the rocket and the LGs in play, just picked himself up a rail, so he's got a pretty substantial start when it comes to weapons, and he's going to try and look for some of those early angles. Has the rocket out immediately, but a quick switch into the rail just to get some of that initial damage. Nice stuff there. And this is an opportunity to take down both totems, so nosfa.
Interesting choice. Hits a good rail off the bat, but then decides not to capitalize upon nosfa advances towards the rail, instead dropping down for no real purpose. So a little bit unusual there. Nevertheless, it's a great start from effortless. He hits his first 2 rails, 3 off the bat. Nosfa's very weak right here, but Nosfa never backs down from a fight.
No, and in that initial fight, having a lot more faith in his heavy machine gun than his rail, and he was getting a whole chunk of damage for it. You know, some players will try and stay a little bit, I suppose, safer. The kind of big risk, big reward element of a rail can sometimes punish you, and effortless is going to pile in! And even though the 100 damage rocket hits its mark, it doesn't matter, as effortless is going to secure first frag. But it has put effortless in a position where he's had to jump down towards heavy, and they're going to trade out rails, but that rail certainly hurt. And he's pushing a bit too hard. nosfa with a turnaround. Yeah, nice one indeed. Absolutely.
This is the thing about nosfa's playstyle. His aim is superb, but when he's so aggressive, he forces you to hit your shots, and that type of pressure can force some mistakes as well.
When the pressure's on, isn't it? We've all been in that position where it's like, okay, you can hit all these rails, all you want, all day, especially in the warm-up, right? We all hit those kind of warm-up rails, and you think, man, I wish I could get that in a real match. But the second someone's laying on that pressure thick, it's like, oh, wait a minute, now it means this much. It's a little bit harder to do it, but here comes the immediate rail there. Effortless, oh, wow! Close range encounters, and even a little bit of that. We were just talking about that pressure being forced. Where nosfa, the thing is, he's cool as a cucumber when we have those close range fights. Like the opponent might be uncomfortable and missing some of those shots, but nosfa's not missing anything, and that's what's even scarier. Oh. A little bit of initial damage. The problem is, although technically effortless did spring the trap, what he used to make his presence known was a single tick of the LG, so it wasn't really enough to make nosfa worried. Now he's in a better position to hold for this heavy once more. Nice rail shot there from effortless, able to just squeeze that one out of seemingly nothing. But yeah, time to be aggressive, and he takes it.
Impressive indeed. Yeah, for as much as nosfa's hitting good shots at the same time, effortless isn't really making it the most difficult situation in the world for him to do so. Fortunately, they're not to finish off the die rob, so effortless definitely needs to be more careful in the way he's positioning and moving around the map, because not a lot of these shots have been particularly difficult.
But effortless on the back foot of that has been hitting some very tidy rails. Oh dear.
Oops.
That's definitely an XD moment right there, but what does effortless get from it? He was in a position to potentially squeeze out that frag. It just came out so early, and actually effortless was scouting out the potential totem placement on top. He has a rail now as well, which is really nice. Effortless's rails, I don't want to jinx him. I'm going to say it afterwards, just in case I curse him in this fight. But they've actually been really strong. They've been incredibly solid. And they've been keeping him afloat in these tricky encounters where nosfa, you know, when he disengages, he's getting a really vital rail on the back foot, so nosfa can't really aggress immediately. Or in fights, you know, just to force those weak positions. But nosfa is actually seemingly kind of hard to pin down here. Effortless looks a little bit lost as to where he is. That's definitely down to nosfa making no noise whatsoever, but he rocket jumps. And actually still, even though nosfa was right there, did not make his presence known, and he's finally clocked him. But not a lot of rocket damage. That was 12, that was 14. nosfa's going to drop down. Here comes the fight again. Effortless knocked up. He's going to back off towards one of the light armors, though, which does put him in a better position. That prediction rocket does very little. And as nosfa retreats, a free mega for effortless. He's in a great position now. He's got plenty of ammo. I believe he just tried to rocket jump, but didn't quite get the movement. Just a little bit of self-damage. The rail 1v1. Rails unreturned. Misses 2 rails. Has to be very careful about those misses, because if nosfa gets them and he doesn't, all that hard work you did to gain extra stack is just going to disappear. Oh no! Bad time to have a rail out right there. nosfa going point blank. And he's chasing it down. Uses the rocket jump to reposition. The rocket 1v1's going to come through. Effortless! No choice but to jump down, and that's a scary position. He has to get out, and he has to get out now. The rocket misses its mark. Effortless. There are a couple of situations where he totally could have died to a rocket, but he just wasn't in the right position.
That is nosfa's putting on the pressure now. He really wants to finish off this frag. Rail was not the right choice. But somehow, once again, effortless survives with less than 30 health. He needs to count himself a very lucky man.
And I love the aggression coming out from nosfa to immediately go really all guns blazing with the machine gun. He knows that effortless is going to be weak. Not so much anymore, especially now that heavy's about to appear, but just trying to establish pressure. And when it comes to nosfa, often pressure is the name of the game. Effortless is out of rails, though. That's what I'm a bit worried about. And he's going to be around Mega, but hanging around way too long, unfortunately. Seemed like a pretty free fight there for nosfa.
Be healed in the power of the ancients.
Ooh, the plasma.
Oof, that was close.
Effortless, just content, sticking his ear to the ground and listening, waiting for nosfa to make his presence known. Doesn't go towards him. That's a really nice little check rocket there from nosfa. And a very tricky position for effortless. The rail doesn't hit its mark, but he knows. He knows nosfa is going to come speeding around that corner. It almost like he was trying to prepare with a defensive rocket or something, but before he even gets a shot off, it's there. Wonderful dire orb. Unfortunately, the dire orb did not bag him a rail. That one really sucks because I think if he can survive this encounter, he could have really benefited from one, but melted away.
Yeah, and things like that is just small moments of carelessness from effortless. One, jumping down, no real reason to. Two, not checking or being cautious in his approach. It's those small things that make such a big difference at this level.
And he knows that even though Mega was about to spawn, going up the jump pad would have been risky if nosfa was holding that position. The thing is, he wasn't. nosfa wasn't there, and now he's likely going to be able to back up and get the Mega. Looks like he's just checked it himself. And effortless's position, he hasn't had a particularly favorable spawn. There's no weapons nearby that he can really use. He has an LG, sure, but with a stack difference this big and nosfa hitting the shots he's been hitting, it really is nothing to write home about. And now he's just listening out. Here's the rocket get taken, waiting for the jump, and there it is. He's hit it, audio cue, ready to go. And now he's got a rocket, but it's taken him ages to get all these. Oh no, effortless was so careful to make sure he didn't give his position away. Almost a whole minute of that, and he just stands on the totem and undoes all of his hard work.
And that rocket just splashes him, meaning he knows exactly what effortless is up to.
This is the time.
He's in a lot of pain now sitting down here. He does have the dire orb, which is his one lifeline to get out, but he's in a really bad position. Great weapon switch by nosfa there. All the players might have tried to use the rail to finish it off, but go with the safe option.
That was nice. Effortless did a little bit of the audio cue, but the danger is he's just taken so much damage. It's really tragic almost that whole era of just patience and calm play, it just came crashing down because of a totem. The totem gave him the cue, and it just started everything. But I'm actually loving this element of Blader. It's not massively about this constant stack, and I just can't squeeze out that final rocket. It's about information, and the totems have been trodden on a couple of times, and it's giving nosfa just the clear indication of what he should be doing.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, like the Galena isn't the real traditional pick on this map, but nosfa's used him to great effect, for sure.
For the rockets, this should be effortless's frag. Oh, can't finish it. Oh, he trade.
And that's one way to make sure you get the most out of a bad situation.
5 seconds left. That's GG right there, and nosfa just consistently in the better position, hitting more of the shots, and really just a series of unfortunate events if you're in effortless's shoes.
No, it was once again, it was super entertaining. Both have incredible aim. nosfa slightly better rail overall. His rail really did stand out for me. There were so many situations where he turned it on his head. But ultimately, it was just some moments of carelessness that from effortless that nosfa capitalized upon perfectly and kept the momentum up from there on in. And as you said, there was points where effortless was slightly unlucky, but nevertheless, like nosfa just played a bit more fluid throughout and showed less mistakes.
Definitely elements of aggression too. Nosfa kind of bringing that patented aggression to the table on more than one occasion, where he's just like full throttle round a corner. And although effortless, it almost feels like there were a couple of frags where effortless, he's listening out and he knows that Nosfa's coming and he's prepared. He's got a rocket launcher out, he's already ready to go. But even then, Nosfa still just manages to, even though you're completely prepared, you're still taken by surprise. And that is just something that nosfa is able to kind of force on people. And it, squeezing a couple of frags with that. And other than that, it was just running nice control, hitting some excellent rail shots. Effortless. I mean, yeah, there were a couple of occasions where the totem, it was really less about healing nosfa and more about just giving away effortless. Like I really, for me, the most impactful moment, just watching it alone was, it was about, there was like a good minute or so where effortless is just kind of patiently walking around the map, and it was working out, and then one totem and it's like, okay, it all just falls apart because then he just knows exactly where you are and then he just chases you. All that time's been wasted and now you've got to try and just recharge, re-get stuff back while he's got all this control that you were letting go because you were trying to be so patient. Like it was that was.
So those types of situations to me sometimes feel like it's a player without a plan. They're just playing slow because they don't know what to do. It didn't feel purposeful, and then when it doesn't go to plan, even then, that it looks really bad. But yeah, to me, that's a sign of a lack of confidence in the map itself. That you're not fully aware of where your opponent's going to be, so you can't work around them. So again, it's a sign of a lack of confidence more than it is anything else, in my opinion. But effortless is not generally the one to be lacking confidence in the combat department. It's more the strategy, I think.
Well, we're going to be going from absolutely one side to the other as Awoken is the next map. We've just loaded in. There will be moments away from going into it. I mean, it's definitely a battle of aim on a map like this.
Yeah, with the glass cannon approach of the Knicks, particularly against the Strog, I'm a bit fearful if it goes bad.
Oh yeah, because you were quite nervous about this pick, right?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, close quarters map like this, Nyx is not always the best. Being so reliant on the Ghost Walk, not having the speed advantage over your opponent, there's not a lot in the favor of the Nyx. So you need to make sure positionally you're on point, you've got control of the items, because if that goes south, then you're going to struggle.
Now, Phyllis has certainly been grinding hard. He's a very consistent streamer for Quake Champions on top of a professional player. If you want to go check him out, pretty sure his name is just Effortless on Twitch, but you get to watch a lot of his practice sessions, and he has been on the grind. You can absolutely bet on it, and that's why this really nice aim is coming forward. There's going to be a lot of demand in Fantastic Aim when you actually have a stack difference the way it is here. And yeah, looks like Everless had also mistimed the Mega. He was hanging around for a fair while to the point where he actually chose to double back for a split second. All right, here comes the Pika. It's going to be swiftly deleted, but like I was saying, if you have a naturally smaller stack compared to your opponent, it just puts on so much more pressure that you have to hit those shots. Exactly. Thankfully, so far, Effortless, he's not been shy of it so far. He's been doing a good job, but got to do that for 9 more minutes, right?
Exactly. It just makes the game far more pressured because you don't have that buffer. So positionally, you have to be on point. Timing always has to be on point. Yes, you have more utility. You're quicker, but you need to make sure you're playing well to kind of maximize your potential, if you will.
He's getting enough rails to make it count so far. nosfa, that's always a scary jump pad to go up. If someone has a good rail angle on you, scary indeed. Effortless. He was somewhat looking for a rail shot there, but he goes to the teleporter, which cuts him off. The danger is he's actually only got 1 rail left. So he's going to choose to push. Has to be incredibly careful to be more important. And he makes the 1 rail count with the Pika being taken out. But there's that click. The click heard around the world that no one likes.
That stings a little.
Good awareness for Effortless too. He knows he's out of ammo for the rail, so he goes straight to heavy machine gun. And his reward is not only a frag, but some of that precious rail ammo back. He now has 5 in the tank. And he's playing well. He's playing exceptionally well. And this kind of aim, the thing is, he was aiming this well on Blood Covenant too. It was just other elements that made it difficult for him. His aim certainly was not the problem. And on Awoken, he's making it count even more so.
100%. So far he has the lead, which is absolutely perfect, but he needs to keep this momentum up.
Good rails. Even more of them. And he had confidence in his opponent's stack. He knows the machine gun will finish the job. nosfa popped the immediate peeker. Just try and get some of that damage through spawn, perhaps. But I think effortless is going to be a little bit more prone to land these rails so far because he knows that nosfa doesn't have access to it just yet. Another good shot. He's been consistently landing it. Goes into LG. Can he out LG? Not quite. There's always the element.
Right? Like one small positional mistake, timing mistake, and already nosfa's tracking it back.
That's where the stack difference matters. The lack of armor making a huge difference. The retreating rail gets 2. Has to hang around 3 rails.
We've got the Mega just coming up. Another feature is that I don't think I've seen a Ghost Walk yet. Effortless is notorious, I don't know why, but refusing to use it.
There's always the element of the double jump being kind of like the main objective on this map, but yeah, I definitely agree with this idea of... I mean, you're a sitting duck otherwise, right? The Ghost Walk is supposed to be the trade-off for a small stack.
Yeah, irrespective of if he would have died anyway, the Ghost Walk could have been used to save him at least twice already, if not 3 times, and been off cooldown for each one of them. So, rather unusual for him to be, the only way I could call it is greedy to hold on to it. Oh no!
Oh, I love it. The aggression immediately off spawn. nosfa potentially miscalculating the stack, perhaps. Or that was just a well, I don't even know what word to use. I don't want to use the word frustration, but I mean, if I got a frag like that, you'd feel a certain way and just try and punish immediately. No, I'm not going to give you that one. I'm not going to give you that one. Oh! Peek is going to go down. nosfa has to try and get some of that armor. Hard to do with very little armor nearby. Alright, there we go. Finally, we get some. Ah, nice. Good frag again from effortless. He's done a great job of being able to kind of snatch this one back, to be honest.
Oh, I like that jump.
No, that was cute. That was extremely cute. We're definitely seeing a man with practice. Certainly not a one-off pick, that's for sure, but interested to see if he can keep this string of momentum up. He has all the weapons he could need for it. He has a bunch of stack, and here comes the Ghost Walk, using it aggressively this time, but to no avail. Uh-oh, nosfa, watch out, mate! Oh! Hang on a second!
That would have been disgusting if he hit that round. Oh no, that rocket though, that did so much damage.
Oh! Through the teleporter, right as he goes through. The corpse comes out the other end.
Some situations, effortless just hanging around slightly too long, just being too greedy.
They go head to head. The LG 1v1.
Symptom of someone that plays heavily on their aim. I mean, I know I used to do the same. He's too early for this heavy, but nosfa isn't in position to make it count this time. Oh, didn't hit the jump that time.
We were just shy of it. Here comes some more of the ammo, but effortless. Quite low when we're talking about ammo in general. He's going to have to pepper out some of that plasma. Oh, just gets knocked down. Still railable at this health, and now barely not with 100 HP, but no armor in the tank. This is scary. They both hit rails, point blank rails, effortless. Landing some money shots right there. There it is. Good. I actually really like that jump.
Nice.
Ooh. Clean. Just gonna string those frags down. Some wonderful damage. Almost goes down. Has to hit this rail. nosfa not in a position to do anything about it yet. And a fair while actually until Heavy's gonna spawn. nosfa gets another wall rocket and just in time for the Heavy. Okay, defensive Ghost Walk. Is it gonna count? Perfect positioning.
Really nice. Effortless is slowly grinding out a big enough lead to hold on to, but there's still 3 minutes left, and on a map like Awoken, that is more than enough time to get it back to even keel.
And effortless knows it. He's being a little bit defensive now, but not without making sure he's in a good position. He's now in a position for this heavy. Should be able to frag nosfa just before, and he can. In a perfect world, nosfa might have been able to steal that away before death. That jump straight into teleport. I mean, that's just free damage along with that second rail. And a lot of these rails now are reaching a point where it's even less about effortless having godlike reactions and stuff. It's just him having great reads and in a great position to just do what he knows you're gonna do. Playing a much more confident game, I think, in this map than we saw on Blood Covenant.
Yeah, 100%. Taking the fight to nosfa. nosfa's not backing down to his detriment.
Another swap. nosfa's going to fall. Looking a bit lost, to be honest, that consistently, you know, this is a battle of light versus not light. Yeah, it looks like nosfa's consistently the one that's outstacked here. That's the control that effortless has been able to establish. He's done so much work. And although this is a aggressive snowbally map sometimes, you do worry that we've reached the point going up the jump pad. That's a free one. And yeah, I'm ready to call this one a 1-1.
100%. And as much as I was fearful for the next, effortless showed us why it can be so strong when you maintain control. There was periods of time where he was definitely on the ropes, but at the end of the day, he already adapted to the way in which nosfa was playing and took the map by the scruff of the neck.
I'm loving this idea that he'd picked Nyx for the movement above all else. It's been all about that double jump, the small, like miniature nature of these small champions. nosfa just going for some bonus frags at the end. Oh, hello. Off he goes.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. It's definitely the double jump and the speed, because I mean he barely used the ghost walk even when we were saying he should have. So I mean, it was one of the key features he was hoping to use.
Oh no, he's going for a bonus. He went for the bonus. That one doesn't count. But yeah, wonderful play. Wonderful play there from effortless, who went in with the plan. Strong plan. The champion was the extension of that. And it's worked out just shy of perfectly. Ouch, that's a kamikaze. Go on, get out of it. I believe you can get out. Go on. There we go, we got it at the end. Last little bit of showing off at the last minute. Uh-oh, here we go.
You lose.
GG's, 1-1. That was actually a very fun map to watch.
It was really fun. And always going to get fun games out this too. Map 1 was also fun, so... But effortless fully deserved that. He played well. And yeah, he had a clear plan. He absolutely just... I mean, nosfa didn't back down to his detriment, but once he built up a stack, effortless was just determined to get into those mid-range fights. That's what he wanted to take nosfa on. And it won him the game. Number of traps that came out that were pretty impressive. His aim looked on point. Questionable use of the ghost walk in the early game, but it didn't really come back to matter in the end.
Yeah, it was the constant repositioning and the amount of times that effortless, on top of actually landing impressive rails in general, it was also the element of just being in a better position, the better place for the right time. I just loved how he was able to like constantly cycle around, and that double jump or the wall jump, which on a map like that is, there are so many walls that the wall jump may as well be a double jump for just the positions you're going to be using it in. And then you kind of just have the natural nature of the small champion, a bit harder to hit sometimes, combine that with your own amazing aim. You know, we said at the start of the map that there was going to be a lot of pressure on effortless to hit those shots for the entire map, and he did that and then some. He played the whole thing extremely well, and now we're going into the final map to see if Molten falls. It's going to take it either way, but interested to see how this one goes. It's hard to call because Blood Covenant just seems so one-sided for nosfa, but then look at Awoken, one-sided the complete opposite way. So for this map, no idea.
Yeah, and then we have the Blazkowicz versus the Ison, which is a interesting matchup. I would favor the Blazkowicz ever so slightly, but Ison's utility is fairly decent on Molten. Not anything special by any stretch of the imagination, but this time we don't have any kind of speed or stack differences either, so that's something to watch out for. Plus the rail is definitely a lot more prevalent, and that's something we definitely saw nosfa utilizing to the most potential on map 1, so I would certainly say that should be a core feature of his game on Molten as well.
But it's funny you should mention the rail because that was one of the absolute star performers of Effortless at the same time on Awoken, just in different circumstances, right? It was less about those kind of long range hits and more about those quick reactionary hits or when he was in a good position, you know, thanks to the next movement. But we're loading in. I think it's going to be an entirely different beast now as we're on Molten Falls. Find out which player is going to make it through for the 2-1. Remember, again, just for anyone that's just joined, this is a vital map for Effortless because he's trying super hard to avoid being in like relegation position. So he has, I mean, every map counts if you're in his shoes. nosfa is much safer.
Scan enough to see it.
And it's that immediate patient play. nosfa was in position though, and I love the position as well. He knows that he hasn't spawned near rail, so it's unlikely Effortless could return fire. And just holding those vertical angles means that there's so much demand to hit almost miracle rockets to get any damage.
Yeah, Effortless stayed around a little bit too long, but was also semi-trapped. So nosfa, as you say, really maximizing his output there, knowing Effortless has no point of return.
He's found him. He tried super hard to just sneak on by, but couldn't quite squeeze it out this time round. Now, in this situation, Effortless has spawned almost immediately on the back foot. You can see the teleports coming out from nosfa, who's just looking to keep that long-range chokehold in effect. However, a little bit of that spam suggests he might have somewhat lost Effortless' position. Either that or he's just trying to stay safe. Here comes information from Effortless. Has to be a bit of a sneaky boy here. Looking for a rail angle. Looking for it. Ah, can't hit the shot. Nice little peek there from nosfa just to go straight back into cover. But the battle for Mega, it's going to break out. How much does nosfa value it? Oh, enough to get a rail angle on him. Just to make that Mega all the less impactful. I'm loving this slow and calculated approach from Effortless right now. Neither player wants to push too hard, but Effortless is definitely trying to keep the stack high while at the same time just holding out for any rail angle he can possibly squeeze through the cracks. He just control Mega
as well, leaving the turret behind just to defend the area and giving extra information as to where nosfa might be going, which it does indeed.
And he has control. Full control, actually. That heavy is going to seal the deal for it. Effortless is going to tactically kind of sit around, and he's more than happy to keep that light armor happy. Just in case there was a fight there, you know, you can back up and use it for your own advantage. Trying to get the rocket jump. Clean movement, and he completely traps nosfa.
Yeah,
and there's
really
plenty
nice.
of lights. Uh-oh.
Well, he's out of trouble there, though.
Yeah, that's... nosfa was going to go one of two ways off the spawn, and he chose to go right where the final little nail in the coffin was, I suppose, but that's just a great choice. That's why the LG is so... You can get, this map is so infamous for those kind of ring outs, that no stack is safe. We've seen that time and time again. Good rockets coming out from Effortless. He's still railable at this health, though. Not like until he gets some armor. All right, now he's okay. But he still needs to be careful. Tries to get some of the damage up there on nosfa, but that missed rail is going to be a free pickup. But by no means is he out of dodge yet. All these defensive shots from Effortless, but he's going to be a little bit nervous about his stack and the fact that he's only got one rocket left. That kind of range spam was going to be a bit tricky, I think. Especially seeing as nosfa has the dual wield ready to go once more. Nice use of the turret. If he does go through the teleporter, he's going to be the first to know about it. Speaking of which, he has the information. Is not going to be able to punish this. Oh, no. Early is right. Oh, the heavy doesn't go to him either. That one really is unfortunate. He tried so hard to set up for it, but nosfa just went full speed immediately. A little bit more info thanks to the turret going up near teleporter, but I'm gonna imagine, because I wasn't checking him out that time, did he almost fall off? Oh! Pull the trade.
You weren't on Nosfa's pod for that.
I wasn't. I'm checking out effortless.
He tried to nail gun jump to get the light armor, but nearly nail jumped off the map.
Every time I hear someone go, oh, and on that part of the map, I just automatically assume, you know, because it's just that part of the map I think is cursed, forever cursed. We had the rappel edge. Oh my god.
That's not clean whatsoever, and he's going to struggle to pick up the next major item.
We can see nosfa being incredibly aggressive. He did get the LG spawn, so trying to lay some kind of pressure on. I'm actually wondering though, did he? No, he wasn't able to get the access to the rail, actually. He's only just been able to snap it up. He was able to push him away just long enough, and that did waste a little bit of time. But as long as nosfa sits on this lead, and as long as he keeps at least an LG in hand, he's going to be in that position to just really have that kind of trump card in a fight, perhaps. But actually, looks like he has no idea that effortless is right near. He can't see him. He's trying to stay safe, and he's keeping an eye out. But yeah, truly no idea where effortless is right now.
No, not whatsoever. But knowing that effortless isn't showing, he also knows that he's probably in a position nearby.
Right, who's going to get first? Oh, effortless has no... He can't really sit and fight for it. Not when a dual wielder's ready. But the dual wield, was it used a bit too early? Both of them have access to a light rail from effortless. That has been his miracle weapon all series long. Can he recover? nosfa getting a bunch of damage. Yeah, effortless, no choice but to give up the mega and escape. Oh, but defensive rails. I actually love those defensive rails because he knows that nosfa's not got access to a rail. So there's not really as much risk to be had there. He's going to jump down towards, and he can't get the frag. He has been able to deny the heavy from effortless, so he is going to be quite weak. Even with that light, he's still not amazingly healthy.
Yeah, but it's not the worst play from nosfa because, as you say, effortless doesn't have anything to fall back on, so nosfa still maintains control. He just needs some of the weapons instead.
And there's definitely time to make it work. The dual wield gets popped, and that defensive rocket completely failed to hit its mark, actually. So effortless is, again, weak. But he's doing a good job of kind of just recharging his batteries. Still needs to get his hands on some armor. But nosfa, okay, we finally have some weapons to get some shots on deck. Potentially looked at a rail angle there, but wasn't completely convinced it was safe, but he's clocked him. But effortless making the shot incredibly hard for him to hit. And I love the tri-bolt usage. Wonderful weapon usage.
That must have like maximum damage.
Yeah, it was pretty much close to it. Every one of those tri-bolts, I think, did at least 30. But in that encounter, effortless was trying so hard to make his model harder to hit. Like, he was hanging back so hard, and the rocket didn't work out, and the rails were too tricky. The immediate swap to the tri-bolt, it was like the golden weapon for that situation.
Effortless has no idea when this heavy is. He's 22 seconds too early. And nosfa can chase him down here as he's also early for this mega and needs to get out.
Losing timing in this way and then getting punished by these kind of rails. If he loses a frag to this, I do worry about effortless because I know he can be quite prone to getting frustrated. And
he's going to fall onto a note. Oh, luckily that rocket actually saved him.
Yeah, I was thinking that could have been the kind of frag to rock you until the end of the map, but he seems to be okay so far. There is a natural delay being put on there by nosfa. There's no need to go and get the heavy just yet if you're already healthier than effortless, and then you can back off and now be in a much better place for this mega that's just about to spawn. nosfa's certainly heard him. The retreating defensive rockets come through, but no damage done just yet. And nosfa, again, not going to be satisfied with just taking the mega and leaving it there. He wants damage first.
He can.
I love the choice. I love the choice to go aggressive first and then get mega.
1 minute warning.
Gets another rail. Effortless is only going to have access to a rail, though, but he's hitting every shot he needs. Oh, and he gets it! nosfa potentially just not believing that effortless would hit every single one of those shots. Here they go. Waits in for the rocket. Patient play, but perhaps too patient as the damage is real. More rail damage comes out, and nosfa is so weak, even with the 25 health that comes back, thanks to the passive. That is nowhere near enough. Oh, dear. nosfa has to run for his life. Can't get the damage. 20 seconds left on the clock.
James. I don't know how nosfa lost that.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker right there. That's a heartbreaker.
I mean, for me, that series is a story of two things: one, incredible rail, and two players not looking entirely comfortable on the defense and with no second gear. Neither one really showed any true comfortable nature when they weren't in control. When they're in control, they look great. Both fly high, both hit their shots, but as soon as they lose control, there's no second gear. They're both either super passive or super aggressive. They need to find that good balance, particularly effortless, a good balance between the two, where they can keep some sort of degree of pressure and some map relevancy without relying on stringing shots together just to go back into the map. But he walks away with a series, so who's to complain?
100%. It's one of those situations where I really think of all the series that we have today, you could have expected this one to be really close, and it was. And it was up until the last minute, really just hard to call until the last second. And I just love the composure from both sides to like when you need to really kind of squeeze it back and you need to kind of pull off that kind of crazy frag at the last second. There was a lot of, I think, clutch there, but it was also kind of scrambly at the same time. It was a very interesting mix at the last second of the map.
Yeah, no, I mean, once again, we said it'd be entertaining, and it was.
Yeah.
They both showed some amazing bouts of skill as well as some super questionable plays, but that's what you get out of these two superstars.
But it's as we go into the later stage of stage 3, these are the kind of maps that I think they're, if anything, just important to have, because if you're getting that kind of like, the blood pressure raised now, you're already going to be, I think more pumped and all kinds of anything that can benefit your sort of mental state, I suppose, right? Because you need to have a lot of confidence as you're going into a stage 3 finals, because this is where everyone clashes head to head. It's no longer about this round robin. It's okay, there's a bracket, we're all going up against it, and anything can happen. And always expect the unexpected. And I think the unexpected happened quite a lot between these two guys. But that is going to be our next series of the day done. Our next one is going to be very interesting. Base versus Toxic.
True clash of titans nowadays, but also clash of styles, as we've got someone who just wants to play hyper aggressive versus someone that is far more tempered in their approach. So yes, definitely a very interesting one to watch.
Right, as always, we're going to go for a quick break and set up and get the players in, get everything set up and ready to go. This is week number 9, stage 3, Quake Pro League. Share out the stream online, share it with Quake fans. You don't want to miss the next matchup between Base and Toxic. We'll be back in a few minutes' time.